Good morning and welcome back to Planet Doug Behind the Scenes for Friday, October 21st, I think, 5:08 in the morning. I don't think I should be awake this early this morning. I still feel kind of tired, but I couldn't sleep. I was just lying here in bed and I couldn't sleep, so I thought I might as well get up, make a cup of coffee, and record a kind of video journal about yesterday and whatever other thoughts are on my mind. Yesterday wasn't a big day or anything like that, but it was an interesting one. The main event, as I recorded some of it in a video, was meeting Daryl from Wander Eats for breakfast at a new famous restaurant. And then we had a 9 a.m. viewing appointment for a room at a hotel. And the idea is that I've actually been, I tell Daryl a lot about what is going on in my life, and I told him all about this hostel where I'm staying, this guest house, and I sent him a whole bunch of pictures when I first got here, sort of documenting some of the wear and tear of this place during the pandemic when it kind of went uncared for. And I guess all my photos made an impression on Daryl, and he made it his mission to get me out of here and into someplace more comfortable. And then that started up this chain of, a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend who knows someone who has a business that puts him in contact with hotels around Kuala Lumpur, and they all put their heads together and came up with a room at this hotel. It's an older hotel that was operating under the name Winson, and then a new company bought it out with plans to refurbish it, bring it up to date, and then reopen it with a more modern approach, including on the main floor a whole bunch of co-working spaces, where people can hire, or companies can hire, meeting rooms by the hour, and computer desks and internet service, anything that a business needs, like a young startup that can't afford its own offices yet. They can rent these co-working spaces and their employees have a place to go to work, even though the company doesn't have offices yet, that kind of thing. And they have meeting rooms and things like that. So they're kind of, rebranding this hotel with that approach. And they're sort of still in the middle of refurbishing. They're not quite, open as the Kojoy Hotel yet. That's the new name of the hotel. I keep getting confused about the name, and it just occurred to me last night that Kojoy might actually be what the name is. I thought it was a Chinese name or a Malay name, like in another language, but it could be like co-working space, co, and joy, just joy. It's a good word in English, happy, joy. So maybe that's where the name came from, Kojoy. That's a possibility. So that was the plan, and I met Daryl we had plans to meet at 7:30 in the morning at the Ho Kao Hainan restaurant, a famous breakfast restaurant just around the corner. My phone keeps beeping at me. I'm struggling with setting the notifications properly. And I don't know what is going on, but YouTube desperately wants me to know about YouTube handles. And actually, okay, I think I see what's going on. It's because I have a bunch of YouTube channels now over the last 2 years. I kept opening new YouTube channels for different topics to try and segregate my thoughts, So I'm getting these emails, one for every channel. And that's why I'm getting so many emails. But anyway, they really want me to know about the new feature, YouTube handles. They're very proud of this and sending out a lot of information about it. And with YouTube handles, like if you have a YouTube channel, they give you a handle, which is basically the name of your channel with at the beginning. So my YouTube handle is @PlanetDoug. And that's great. But I don't know what it does. Like, now that I have this handle, I don't know what it does for me. But I have it now. So we'll see. A lot of these things now, I find I don't understand them when I first hear about them. Like, I can read all I want. I can read and I can read and I can read. And at the end, I still don't know what a YouTube handle is exactly. But then when I start to use it and see it in action, the light bulb goes off. It's like, oh, that's what it, okay, now I get it. But I don't seem able to grasp anything just by reading about it anymore. I have to see it in real life, and then I understand. Maybe YouTube handles will be like that. Anyway, the idea with the room at this hotel is that the hotel is still kind of under construction. You know, it's being refurbished. So the conditions are not perhaps suitable for someone who came to Malaysia on a holiday and booked this hotel room and is expecting full hotel service. But someone like me, obviously I'm going to be happy wherever you put me. And because the hotel is in the condition it's in, my room is kind of going to be in a little bit of a construction zone. They offered it to me at a very good rate for the month of November. So we'll see whether it works out or not. When these things occur in my life, I definitely don't I don't depend on them, because things like this have a habit of just going away. Like, there's too many people involved, too many arrangements, and then if you really get your hopes up and you get your heart set on this thing, whatever it is, you're often setting yourself up for disappointment. And when Daryl and I went to the Winson / Kojoy for our 9 a.m. viewing appointment, it seemed like it was heading in that direction. You know, it's like, you know, if this was a TV show or a movie and then we have a viewing appointment, you know, that's kind of how I was thinking of it. You kind of expect to walk into the place and there'd be a man in a tuxedo standing there waiting, and then he would see you come in the door and he would, Mr. Daryl, Mr. Douglas, we've been expecting you. Come with me, let me show you the room. That's kind of what you think is going to happen when you have a viewing appointment. But of course, we showed up and there was nobody there. In fact, there wasn't even a hotel lobby as far as I could tell. There was an open space that clearly is going to be a hotel lobby at some point, and there was a desk, but the desk had a big sign on it about some kind of express delivery service. And then there were a bunch of tourism brochures, like selling tickets for the hop-on, hop-off tourist bus and tours of Batu Caves and the Butterfly Park and the Bird Park, things like that. So we walk in and I'm looking around going, I'm not sure what this is all about. And Daryl goes up to the desk. There's a woman behind this express delivery desk, and he was saying to her, you know, well, we have an appointment to see a room at 9. And the woman looks at him like, I have no idea what you're talking about. First I've heard of it. I don't know anything about this hotel that you speak of. You know, I didn't hear the conversation. I was standing back, but that seemed to be what was happening. And then the woman did get on the phone, and like Daryl kind of repeated his story once or twice, I think, and explained to her that no, someone here really is expecting us from this hotel that's above us. And the woman says, okay, just give me a second, I'll get on the phone. And then she got on the phone, and then a man came down, and the man seemed equally unaware of anything to do with us. And Daryl is telling him the story. You know, I'm Daryl, this is Douglas, we have an appointment to see a room, you know, we're making, and the man just seemed to be processing this information and coming up with nothing. It was like, okay, but and he would tell us, oh, you know, we don't have any rooms right now. I think that was one of the first things he said. And then Daryl had to sort of jump in and say, okay, well, yeah, we know that, but in November, like, I've been talking to this guy who's been talking to that guy, he's friends with him, and I know him, and we've been setting this up, and we have an appointment to see this room, and he's, you know, explaining the whole thing again. And eventually the story seemed to get through, and the man seemed to know what we were there to do. And later on, I think he even used my name. Douglas. I'm not positive, but I think he did. So it suddenly seemed like he knew who we were and why we were there. And yet at the beginning, he didn't seem to have any idea. So to be honest, I don't know what was going on with that whole situation. But I did find out that my room, the room that they were reserving for me or setting aside for me, which I thought was just in an empty shell of a hotel being refurbished, and this would be one of the first rooms ready for occupancy, the man said, no, there's someone in that room right now. So I can't show you that room, it's occupied. So I was like, oh, okay, that's different. Didn't know about that. But then he said, okay, there is another room similar to that one, and if you want to see what a room here looks like, I'll take you up and show you that room. And of course, we both said yes, and Daryl and this man were just getting along famously. They were just chatting up a storm about all kinds of things, and that made me a little bit more confident that, I don't know, maybe something will actually happen here. It was just hard to tell. And when we showed up at the place, I was kind of surprised to see to what extent it was still branded as Winson, because my understanding was that it was going to be the Kojoy in a week and a half, starting in November, the Kojoy grand opening. But there's no way that's happening by November, because even the giant, permanent signs, I don't know how tall they are, 20-foot tall signs on building signs still attached to the hotel building still said Winson. There was nothing out there saying Kojoy. But when we went to the room, there was a decoration on the wall that had the Kojoy logo and the name Kojoy on it. And you could tell that, there was activity going on. You could smell paint. They're busy painting. The floor, kind of a marble floor, I guess, was covered in plastic for protection because there was construction going on everywhere. But in the midst of all this, there was a room that looked, if you made the bed, put some soap and shampoo in the bathroom, it would be ready for someone to move in. Air conditioner on the wall, nice bed, nice chairs. There's a table with a bench, TV on the wall. I'm assuming, should have checked for Wi-Fi when I was there. I should have opened my phone and looked for a Wi-Fi signal, but I didn't think of it. I assume there's Wi-Fi. So the man, told us about the room and said, this is one of our rooms, and this is Daryl wanted me to see the room in advance before I say for sure, yes, I want to move from here to there. But to be honest, regardless of the condition of the room, I would want to move, because going there would give me air conditioning, private bathroom, and reliable Wi-Fi, none of which I have here. And as I explained in the video before, I'm perfectly comfortable here. I'm happy enough here, but other things may not be. My MacBook, for example, and all my electronics, in this heat, everything suffers. I think about this a lot lately. There's a term, I don't know whether I use it correctly, but called false economy, where a false economy is like some sort of behavior or choice you make to save money. You think it will save you money by going the cheap route, but going the cheap route actually ends up costing you more money in the long run. And super expensive is probably not a good value. Super cheap is not a good value, and maybe there's a middle road. But this going cheap to save money can often be a false economy, where, for example, I save money by staying in an air-conditioned room, but then my laptop overheats and dies earlier in its lifespan. So it ends up costing me money in the long run. Whereas if I stayed in a cool, dry, air-conditioned room, all my cameras, smartphones, laptops, Kindles would all last longer. Batteries wouldn't swell and burst. I wouldn't have to keep buying new batteries. Theft as well. Just from a lifetime of reading travel books and travel journals, it seems like a lot of people get robbed in cheap hotels. So, I personally know of many cases where like a a guy traveling around the world on a bicycle, you know, checks into a really cheap hotel somewhere, rolls all his bike into his room, unpacks everything, goes out for dinner, comes back, and everything's gone. You know, his computer and his cameras and everything has just been stolen. So of course he stayed in this hotel because he's traveling on a low budget, but then he ends up getting robbed, you know, of thousands of dollars worth of electronics, and that cost him money. And maybe if he'd stayed at a better hotel with better security, cost more, but he wouldn't have lost thousands of dollars of equipment. See what I mean? So there's like a false economy there. Anyway, this room that I'm staying in could be a false economy, and when I get to the tech section of this morning's journal, I'll tell you about the MacBook story. So yeah, that was the morning breakfast with Daryl, and the breakfast was really good. I didn't have a lot of hope for this restaurant because it is a famous place, and I thought it would be way too busy, and I thought it would be kind of uncomfortable for that reason. Too much rushing, too much crowding, too much stress, and no matter how good the food is, you're not going to be able to enjoy the food because of the famous atmosphere. But it wasn't like that at all. Very organized in terms of seating, getting a table, very relaxed. Food came at a reasonable time after we ordered it. I hate places where, you know, before the words are out of your mouth, the food's on your table. You sort of want to beat, you know. It's like, okay, we'll have this, and we'll have this, and we'll have this. Thank you. And the waiter goes away, and then you have a chance to chat for a little bit, and maybe your coffee comes. That's a Western thing, I find. We want the coffee and the water. Like as soon as we sit down, water, coffee, especially for breakfast. You know, in a Western diner, you know, there'd be water on the table, and the waitress comes over with a coffee pot in her hand. You know, coffee, and fills all the coffee. You know, before anything else happens, your coffee cup is filled. And I like that. I like having coffee before the food arrives. And that didn't happen here. The coffee actually came after the food, like in the middle of the food, which is not, by then I don't really want the coffee anymore. It just sort of, the bitterness interferes with the taste of the food. I want the coffee first and then the food, but maybe, yeah, it's just a Western thing. Though at these kopitiams, I don't think I'm going to order the kopi anymore. You know, they spell it K-O-P-I. It's not coffee, but the local version of the word kopi. But it feels like it's a different drink. It's not coffee as I think of it. It's something different. It really is kopi. Kopi O, kopi C. It has different variations. And it's very sweet if you get kopi C, I think. And very strong, kind of odd flavor. I don't know, it feels like it's like tearing into my throat as it goes down. There's something unpleasant about it that I don't really like. It's a drink, not really a coffee for me. But anyway, I probably won't be ordering it too many more times. You know, maybe I will, but it's not a favorite of mine. Yeah, interesting thing is that Daryl is a YouTuber, of course. Wander Eats is his channel, and he covers kind of, you wouldn't call it tourism, I guess, but tourism-related topics, and he organizes his videos on a very clever scheme. I find it clever anyway, because he does, you know, he visits restaurants, hotels, you know, cafes, shopping malls, and then he goes into like MRT stations and walks down streets and does a variety of things, and he categorizes his videos based on that. So he has, you know, a category of videos called Eat. So the very first word in the video title will be capital letters Eat, and then the name of the restaurant or whatever the name of the video is, because that's part of his eating series. And then Stay would be all about a hotel where he stayed, you know, or guest house, whatever. Walk would be, you know, a walk from this MRT station to this one. How do you navigate from here to here? So he has all these categories for his videos. And yesterday he got out his DJI Action 2 camera, and it's a neat little camera, that thing. You know, DJI really went outside the box designing this camera. It's a modular system with all these magnets and instant clipping together, which is on paper and a very good idea, very interesting idea. I don't think it was a big success in the market, but it does have a lot of advantages. And Daryl had like a rope, a cord underneath his shirt that has a DJI magnetic mounting unit underneath his shirt, so he can just take his Action 2, the camera module, very tiny square, and just clip it to his, you don't see him mounting. He doesn't need a chest harness like for a GoPro. I have to put on a big, like a climbing harness underneath my shirt, cut a hole through my shirt and thumb screws, Daryl's just like click, all done. That's a big advantage. And then he has like a little tripod grip, and he can just pop the camera off, click, 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 click. Very nifty little system. I see advantages to that. And he brought that camera with him, and his idea was to record him and I going to see the hotel room. And yeah, so he did that, and he put together a video very quickly. He edited the video and posted it. It's live on his channel now. You can see a thumbnail picture of Daryl and me, all about going to see this hotel. But he filmed it in a way that he hasn't filmed before. It was a true vlog, a video log, basically, a slice of his day in a casual, this is what I'm doing today sort of thing. And he hadn't done videos like that before. So this was the first video in his, brand new category, vlog videos. So now he has eat, stay, walk, at least those three, maybe there's another one, and now vlog. So you'll see a whole bunch of new vlog videos on Wander Eats. So that's pretty exciting. And I had my GoPro with me, and I shot a little bit of video, and my video about this is quite a bit more disjointed than his. His is really well organized, because he had a real plan about what he wanted to do, and he has an introduction, and then he's walking with me to the hotel, and then he films everything. And when he had the camera on his chest mount, he got natural footage of the man we were talking to, opposite us, and of me, and then there was a conclusion afterwards, and he and I went to the MRT station together, and he went off to work and I went my separate ways, and there was like a conclusion and a goodbye to the video. So it's like a nice little story from beginning. It's an intro and a conclusion and a middle. It's a nice little organized vlog. Meanwhile, I'm shooting my GoPro at the same time, and mine is a complete mess. Partially because I didn't have a clear idea. I was just sort of shooting a journal style, like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Plus, because he was shooting his video, he was walking around, like when we were walking beside each other, he was holding his camera out in front of him like a vlogger, right? And that made me not want to get my GoPro out, so I'll be walking beside him holding my GoPro. So there's the two of us walking side by side, both of us holding a camera in front of ourselves. I mean, one person like me walking along, talking into a GoPro is pretty silly, and you have two of us side by side, two cameras. I mean, it's like, oh, come on, like, you think your lives are so important you need two cameras recording you at all times? So I basically did not record as much as I would have normally. I kind of just held the camera at my side. And when we were at the hotel, I occasionally shot a little bit of the hotel, and oh, here's the room, here's the view. And I didn't really record interactions with the man at the hotel and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed Daryl's video. Yeah, I thought he did a really nice job. The only problem, and Daryl and I talked about that, is audio. Because he again, if you have a tiny modular camera that just clips into place, clip, 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 so convenient. But as soon as you try to add an external microphone, you've destroyed all the convenience. Where's the microphone going to go? You've got this tiny cube on your chest that you can barely see, but it doesn't have a camera, it doesn't have a microphone mount. And even if it did, you put a microphone on there, and now the thing is top heavy and it's flopping over, and you need a cord from the microphone to plug it in, and there's no mic plug on the camera, so now you got to get the cage and you got to get the adapter. Before you know it, you've got a giant camera that can't clip to your chest anymore. So Daryl went the convenience route, and he just used the built-in mics on the Action 2, which is sitting right here or right here in front of him. So it records his voice very clearly, but it more or less records nothing else. So when I'm speaking to him, you barely hear me. And then when he's speaking to the man inside the hotel, I guess you heard more because it was a quiet environment. But you know, the audio levels are just like up and down, disappears completely, then really loud, then really soft. And that's just a thing with shooting video. You know, recording audio is so difficult. And for me, I figured out a routine for me where I use the Rode Wireless Go, which is here again underneath my shirt, because I'm recording only me most of the time. But if I wanted to like walk around with Daryl all day, then you'd totally have to rethink it. You'd have to get like the Rode Wireless Go 2, which I'm thinking about picking up, where now you have two microphones, and I put a mic on Daryl and a mic on me, and then you get clear audio from both of us at the same time. Or, you know, what most vloggers do is the shotgun mic, and they put a shotgun mic on their camera, and then wherever their camera is aiming, that's where it's recording audio from. But I find that to be very unsatisfying, because when you're aiming the camera away from you, you know, the microphone is also aiming away from you, and if you're speaking, it's not picking up your voice. So it's just like, there's got to be a better way to do audio, you know. And there are new microphones like shotgun mics that aim in both directions at the same time, so they record from the front and record from the back as well. And there's one out there I've often thought about testing, but then again, I find as soon as the camera is far away, like arm's length, then it's not picking up your voice very clearly. The mic really needs to be right here in front of your mouth, or, you know, even here. But even with this Rode Wireless Go, you can hear such a tremendous difference. You might be getting wind noise now though, but there it is there on my chest, and this is what my voice sounds like right now. But if I lift it up to my mouth and I put the microphone right here, I'm assuming it's made a tremendous difference to, you know, the vibrancy of the audio, and the sound of my voice would be much richer, a much different, more intimate sound than when it's down here. And it's not a big difference in terms of distance, right? Now here, there's one sound. Underneath my shirt, it's even more muffled. But if it happened to be here, you know, right in front of my mouth, then I think the audio quality changes. I think it's better, you know, when it's here. Just has that, you're a nighttime DJ, you know, professional DJ voice sound. You get that when a lavalier mic is like this close to your mouth. So that's where it really should be. But with cameras and microphones, all that sort of thing, it is astonishing how many mistakes you can make. You never come to the end of them. And it takes a long time to learn. For example, like right now, I'm shooting with an Olympus mirrorless camera. I kind of like using it in this environment, low light. You know, it's better than anything else I have for a low light situation. And I made so many mistakes with this camera in the days that I've been using it, because I'm just learning about it. And one thing I've learned, which I didn't realize, is that if you're recording video with this camera, it reaches a record limit. I haven't investigated it. I've just noticed that it does this. I'm busy chatting away on one of these video journals, and then it might be 15 minutes, and then it cuts off, and it just stops recording. And I've gotten caught by that a number of times, where I just keep talking and talking and talking, and yet the camera isn't recording anything because it stopped recording, but it doesn't beep at me. This camera in video mode makes no sounds. Like hitting the record button, it doesn't beep. saving the file, it doesn't beep. You know, stopping recording, it doesn't beep. I never know what this camera is doing. But what I learned from before is, like, right now I have face tracking on, and face tracking for autofocus puts a little box around the person's face, and as you move, you know, you can see the box following you. But on the Olympus, for reasons I don't understand, notification, oh yeah, Cellcom, I'm gonna turn that off because yeah, I have a Cellcom SIM card, and I'm getting used to the Cellcom app and all the data packages. More about that in a minute. And so I have it, you know, loaded onto my phone, and man, they send me a lot of notifications. Boy, they want to sell me things, you know. Every time they have a new package they want me to buy, beep 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 beep. So yeah, that's getting the axe this morning. No more notifications from Cellcom. What was I talking about? Oh yes, that when you hit the record button and actually start recording video with this camera, that really useful box showing that it's in focus doesn't show anymore. It disappears. So when you need it is when they don't show it to you. I don't know why. There must be a technical reason for that. But what I realized is that I can use that as a signal for when the camera is no longer recording video. Like right now, I can't see the record button. It's covered up by the microphone plug. I have no idea whether it's recording or not. I can't see a flashing red light because the camera doesn't have a tally light. It's not set up for video. But if on the LCD screen I suddenly see a box around my face, it stopped recording. That tells me if I don't see the box, I know it's recording. That's my new, the camera is recording light. You know, I don't get a red light, but I get if the box is not there, it's probably recording video. And as soon as the box reappears, it means I've reached the time limit, and it stopped recording. So yeah, I don't look at the LCD screen. I mean, I'm trained to look directly at the lens, but I can sort of see the LCD screen just out of the corner of my eye. And then if I happen to notice a tracking box, like something different about what's going on, it's like, hold it, something changed. And if I look over there, oh, it's not recording anymore. Plus, I learned that whatever the technical name for it is, whatever in the Olympus records audio is much more sophisticated and more powerful and better than what you have in a GoPro, and it doesn't need a strong signal. So when I use the Rode microphone, I have to lower the output dramatically on the Rode, otherwise it overwhelms the Olympus and it's just like way too loud. And you know, you can make adjustments in the Olympus, and you kind of got to set them up, you know, this microphone to that camera, which I do in the morning. But then yesterday I went to meet Daryl and I switched to the GoPro. You know, I put the Rode receiver onto the GoPro and I went out recording all day. And of course, at the end of the day, the audio was so low you could barely hear anything because I forgot I had changed the audio settings to match the Olympus. Now that I moved it to the GoPro, I have to go into the Rode and, you know, raise the output levels for the GoPro. And another mistake I made. You know, you'd think I wouldn't be making mistakes anymore, but constant mistakes. I find new ones all the time. It's just the way things are. Whew. So it appears I have veered into technology as a topic for this morning, and I will continue with that because it's on my mind, and this is my journal. I can talk about what I want. And what's on my mind is technology and problems, because GoPro, oh boy, love-hate. I mean, absolute love-hate with this camera. Because when I was in Penang, all of my batteries were bursting apart. These, you know, this is a GoPro battery, has like a blue cap on it, a blue base and a blue cap. It's a standard GoPro battery, and all my GoPro batteries were bursting open because they swell up in the heat. And this one is still, my only one, still in good condition. And I thought, well, let's try one of the new batteries, because GoPro came out with a high-powered battery to go along with the GoPro Hero 11, which needs more power because of its more powerful chip or whatever. And they came out with this battery, the Enduro, which has white on the top and bottom. And this Enduro has more power, and it also is better in low temperatures and high temperatures. So it handles extreme temperatures better. You know, if you're taking your GoPro to the Arctic or skiing in the Alps or something, this battery is better for you, they say. But I was interested in more battery life, you know, because these don't last very long. You're changing batteries all day long. I thought, well, if this lasts half an hour more in the day, that's good for me. And maybe these new batteries don't swell and expand. So I bought one of the Enduros. It's compatible with the GoPro Hero 11, 10, and 9, maybe even the 8, but I don't think I saw that, 9, 10, and 11. So I got it, and I've been using it. And this GoPro is new to me. This is not my old GoPro. This is a new one. And then this GoPro started to do weird things, like just strange things. And I was wondering, oh no, like, is this GoPro like defective in some ways or something wrong with it? What's going on with this GoPro? And then I realized that every time something weird happened with the GoPro, this battery was in it. When the GoPro was acting normally and there were no problems at all, the blue battery was in it. It's the battery that's causing all these problems. So I don't think this Enduro battery is truly compatible with the Hero 9. It will power the camera, but it has a weird effect on the electronics. So for example, well, it's so ridiculous because it cancels out the advantage of the battery. At least it did for me, you know, for a few times until I figured this out. The whole point of me getting this, the main point was I needed new batteries, but also I thought it would last longer. So I'd charge it up, and I usually get all my camera gear ready the night before, so I don't have to do it in the morning. I just grab the camera and go. So I've got this fully charged. It's in the GoPro, and I have it, you know, ready for the next morning. But then all evening or afternoon and night, the GoPro kept just turning on. I'd be sitting here doing something on my laptop, and then beep, beep, beep. I hear beep, beep, beep. And the GoPro is sitting there over on the bed, and the screens are all on. It's like, well, I don't know what's going on. And then I wait for a little while, and beep, 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 beep. It turns off again. Later on, beep, 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 turns back on again. I thought I had voice activation turned on, and if I said something, it would turn on the GoPro from a distance or something. I was looking, no, there's no voice activation. What is going on? And every time it turns on, you know, I turn it off again, and it's like, well, that's weird. Like, and I thought there was something wrong with the GoPro. And then, of course, it was doing this all throughout the night when I was sleeping. I might explain why I keep waking up all the time. And then in the morning, I wake up and I grab the GoPro and I sail out into the world. I think I've got an Enduro battery charged to 100%. I turn the GoPro on, and the battery is either dead or it's at like 42%. Because all night long, it's been running. You know, it keeps turning the camera off and on by itself and just draining the battery. So all this, you know, longer battery life, they don't deliver on that promise because it drains itself when you're not looking. And then you don't even have 100% on the battery in the morning. So now I've learned when I leave it overnight, you know, I have to have one of the blue batteries in there. I can put this in during the day because it doesn't matter if it turns off and on automatically during the day because it's almost always on anyway. But now it's one more thing to remember, one more mistake I can make leaving this in the GoPro overnight and discovering in the morning that half the battery life is gone. And I was out the other day with a subscriber. I talked about that in a video. A guy named Lim contacted me, and he came pick me up in his car, and we went out for a whole, you know, good chunk of a day, sampling a lot of interesting food at different places in his neighborhood, sort of on the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur. And then at one point, I'm in his car, and I'm looking at my GoPro, and it was frozen, you know? And I was kind of surprised about that because It hasn't happened for a long time. I mean, GoPro's freezing was a big issue for years. With my Hero 7, froze all the time. And it would happen a bit with my other Hero 9, but then it stopped happening, maybe firmware, whatever. The freezing and glitching is not as big a deal with GoPros anymore. So I was like, oh wow, frozen. And I'm showing it to Lim, you know, because I can't help but talk about GoPros no matter what I'm doing or who I'm with. I was like, oh, Lim, look at this. You know, all that trouble I had with GoPros, this is what I'm talking about. It's frozen. And the only way to unfreeze a GoPro is to open it up and pull the battery. And then you put the battery back in. And I did that, and it was the Enduro battery. I think that's why it froze. And it corrupted all the video files. Like a good chunk of them. I still had the files that I shot in the morning, but that video file that I shot and a whole bunch of ones before it and all the ones I shot after it were all corrupted. It did something to the memory card, did something to the video files, so I have no video from that. From the point the GoPro froze, it corrupted old video files, and every new video I shot for the rest of that day was just gone, just not on the memory. They were there on the memory card, I could see them, but the memory was 0, and then the thumbnail was blank. There was just nothing there. You know, we went to an Indian restaurant after that, and I shot video, you know, at the Indian restaurant, talking about our food, talking about this. All those video clips are there, but none of them have any content. And I'm pretty sure it's this battery that did it. So I don't think I can use it. I've got to go out shopping again, and I got to buy more of these blue ones, and they're going to expand and blow up and swell, and yeah. Why do we use GoPros? I have to wonder sometimes, why do I use GoPros? I'm sure I have a reason. My other big, one other big tech adventure from yesterday involved Cellcom and my smartphone, you know, SIM card and data plans. Because, as I mentioned in another video, the Wi-Fi here disappears at night. This guest house is run by a man who runs a little business down on the street, kind of a photocopying, photography kind of business down there. And when he goes home for the night, he just shuts down all the computers and the Wi-Fi is gone. So there's no Wi-Fi here for at least half the day, maybe more, because he doesn't come back to work until 10 or something like that. And when he comes back into work, you know, he turns the Wi-Fi back on. So for me to upload video files, I was looking into just buying data, you know, on my, you know, Cellcom SIM card, and then I can use that. So I've been figuring all that out, the best way to do it, and I shot a whole video about going to the Cellcom Blue Cube, and a guy there, really great guy, helped me out, answered a lot of my questions. But I don't know, it's a wilderness. It's a real wilderness, because I had a video yesterday that was 10 gigabytes. For me, it was a small video, a short one, and the video file was 10 gigabytes, and it was at 73% uploaded. So call it 3/4. So really, there was only about 2.5 gigabytes left to upload when the Wi-Fi disappeared. So I thought, okay, I need 2.5 gigabytes of data to upload. You know, I went into Cellcom, into the app, and this kind of confuses me. I don't understand this at all. I can't just buy data. Like, I just want to buy 2.5 gigabytes of data, high-speed data. Buy it. You know, how much is it per gigabyte? You know, that's all I want to do. I want to go shopping and buy gigabytes of data. But they don't do that. They sell you monthly plans. That's what they call them. So you have to go into their mix and match section, and then you buy what they call a monthly plan that auto renews at the end of every month. So instead of buying the minimum I could buy was 4 gigabytes. But instead of buying 4 gigabytes, I had to subscribe to a monthly plan that gave me 4 gigabytes. It just seems weird to me. And I already had a plan from before that I bought, and I'd already used up all the data, but I still was on that monthly plan. So now I bought this new plan and I get an error message, not an error message, but a warning that says, oh, you already have an active plan. Do you want to replace your old plan with the new plan? And I'm like, well, not really. What's all this business about plans? I just want to buy some data. But I kind of looked into it, and my old plan, it seemed to be drained. I'd used up all the things in that plan, even though it would continue for the rest of the month. There was nothing in it, no data, no hotspot, no nothing. So I thought, okay, my new plan, replace the old one. I said, yes. Okay, replace it. You can only have one plan at a time. Anyway, it all seems weird to me. But anyway, I bought this plan that had 4 gigabytes of data. I only needed 2.5. I'm watching my video upload. Figure it'll be done pretty quickly. And then I got a, Cellcom, beep, 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 beep. You've used up all the data. Your balance is 0. And my file hadn't finished uploading. I'm like, what do you mean? I burned through 4 gigabytes already? And sure enough, I looked at the plan. It was empty. There was nothing left in it. So I thought, well, I really want this video to upload. So I bought another monthly plan, 4 gigabyte month. Well, this one wasn't monthly, actually. It was a 5-day plan because it's cheaper if it lasts a shorter amount of time. So it's like a 5-day plan with 4 gigabytes. And I bought another package, and it said again, oh, you already have an active plan. Do you want to replace your old plan with the new plan? I'm like, yes. So I replace it. It's busy uploading. Later on, beep, 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 notification. Oh, your balance is now 0. Would you like to reload? Would you like to update? Would you like to add to your, whatever it is I can do? And I'm like, that's 8 gigabytes. And my 2.5 gigabytes still hasn't uploaded yet. Like, where is all this data going? So I bought a third one, 5-day monthly, a 5-day plan, 4 gigabytes, bought another one. Do you want to, you have an active plan. Do you want to replace your old plan with the new plan? Yes, I do. I replace it. And finally, the video finished uploading. So I had to buy 3 plans. Each one was a 5-day plan. I had to buy 3 5-day plans, each one containing 4 gigabytes of data, total of 12 gigabytes of data to upload 2.5 gigabytes of video to YouTube. So why? I don't know. Where did the 9.5 gigabytes go? The extra 9.5 gigabytes that I bought. I mean, it did something. It went somewhere. I wasn't doing anything else. That was the only video that was uploading. I have no idea. So everything is really a complete mystery. So that was another one of my tech adventures, and I never was able to figure that out. I have no idea what's going on with those 5-day plans and monthly plans, and I'm just leery of using them because the data just vanishes, and I can't tell where it's going. Yeah. It's not great. My other great tech adventure, of course, involves the Touch and Go eWallet. And I had success there. I figured out how to put money on the eWallet. Turns out it's the easiest thing in the world. You just go to 7-Eleven, buy some, you buy one of these reload pins. You say, I want to put 100 ringgit in my eWallet. Give it to the 7-Eleven clerk, and he gives you a PIN number. I don't know if it's probably just a paper receipt, and that's your reload PIN. You enter the PIN into eWallet, and the money's there. So I was like, oh, I had no idea it was so easy. And I guess you can do the same thing with the kiosks in the MRT. I'm going to do that today and test that out, because I saw it when I used the kiosk to add money to my card, the Touch and Go card. I knew how to do that. You put it in the slot, and then the money is added digitally to the card because there's a sensor in the slot. And I remember seeing on the kiosk something about eWallet, as if I could reload my eWallet using this machine. But at the time, I didn't look into it, but just part of my brain started processing it. And I was thinking, well, how do I put my phone in that little slot? Like, what's the physical mechanism for like, where's the scanner? Do I put my phone face down on something? I couldn't see a way it would happen. So I kind of skipped past that. But what I think happens is if you choose the eWallet option, it will print out a receipt with a PIN number on it. The exact same reload PIN that you get from 7-Eleven. It just comes out of the kiosk. So I'm going to do that today just to test it. And it's like, okay, that's how that works. So I got that figured out. I have money in my eWallet, thanks to a friend and a subscriber who transferred money from his eWallet to my eWallet, just to get me started. And as he said, breakfast is on me, and coffee is on me. So I had money in my eWallet to try this out, and I went to Vinijaya, had lunch there, and then when I didn't pay in cash, I just went up to the cash register, and I did the whole eWallet transaction, and it worked fine. It worked differently than I expected. There were certain steps in there that I'd never done it before, so it was all new to me. And I tried to make it a big deal with the man behind. I do this to people all over the world. I involve them in my own personal drama, and they're just not interested, right? So I go up to the cashier, the guy taking the money. He's been there like for 1,000 years. He's been there as long as I've been coming to Kuala Lumpur. His facial expression never changes. He's just taking in the money, to customers. That's his job. That's what he does. He's seen a million of us, and I go trotting up there all happy and, a YouTuber, a vlogger, having my big adventure, and I'm going to use eWallet for the first time, and I'm so excited, and I want to share my excitement with him, right? So I go up to him, and I see he has a touch-and-go QR code, and I tell him, oh, I'm going to use eWallet this time, because he knows me. I've been going there forever, and I'm always paying in cash. And I said, I'm going to use an eWallet this time. And he's like, And I'm trying to get him excited for me. He's like, I've never done it before. This is the first time I'm using the eWallet. I don't really know how to do it. And he's like, He's like, not interested at all. But I'm still trying to get him excited. And then I do it, I hit the scan button on the eWallet, and then I got a surprise. I should have been expecting it, but I wasn't. It said, we need to verify your face. And I'm like, oh. I was all ready to scan the QR code, but it's telling me it needs a face. So I'm like, oh, okay. And there was no window or anything for me to do anything with. I was like, okay, how do I do this now? And I just sort of turned the phone around and thought, okay, here it is. Here's my face. Why do you need my face? And nothing was happening. And I realized because I was doing a transaction, I had put on my glasses, my reading glasses, and I guess it wasn't registering. Because when I did the face verification, I had my glasses off. So I thought, oh, maybe it's the glasses. I turned them off. And then I got a little notice that said, blink your eyes. So I'm like blinking like crazy. And then it clicked. And then I got the QR code scanner. And I realized later on, it's like, I turned on face verification in the eWallet. So instead of entering the PIN, I made the choice to use face verification instead. So every time this dumb thing keeps telling me to, put in your face, it's because I made that choice. And I didn't realize I'd even made that choice. So today I'm going to go in there and turn that off, because I prefer to enter the PIN, right? It's like I'm there and it's just like, I don't have to, take off my glasses, blink my eyes. I guess face verification is supposed to be a convenience. Doesn't seem like it to me. I'd rather just enter the PIN. So I'm going to turn that off today. That was another one of my adventures yesterday. Perhaps the final tech adventure is the one that I'll mention now, which is the MacBook. And that connects with my whole idea of false economy, being here in this room, which is a bit like a sauna. It's very, very hot. Because yesterday was a power day, like seriously power day in terms of all my technology, everything I was doing. I was doing work on a lot of videos, uploading and downloading and just transferring. There's a lot going on. And my MacBook was running like all day. And I always sit here on the bed, and you know, I just kind of put the laptop here on my thighs. Basically, it's sort of sitting here, and I'm typing. My thighs are my desk, and there's a lot of airflow around the MacBook. It's not like it's sitting flat on any kind of a surface. I got a fan blowing, and it never felt hot. Like when a computer overheats, you can sort of feel it on the bottom. Like it gets red hot on the bottom, and it's like, oh, there's a problem. It's getting too hot. But the laptop felt fine. You know, the bottom was nice and cool. The fan was running, but that's to be expected in this room. And there was lots of airflow. The fan was free to blow and suck in air. There was no problem. But the screen started to break down. I started to get this black line across the bottom. I started noticing it a little bit, like a little bit of a gray area, a little bit more and more, and it got thicker and thicker and darker until like a big chunk of the bottom of the screen was like completely black. And I think it was just because the computer had been running for so long and it's so hot in here. There weren't like hot spots on the base of the laptop, but just the overall laptop was just way too hot in this environment because this room is so hot, and that was starting to affect the screen. And then it really became a problem because I was using DaVinci Resolve, and DaVinci Resolve works with modules, and you actually jump from module to module to module along this menu system on the bottom. So I finished editing this file, and I wanted to export it. So you go to the deliver module. Looks like a little rocket ship, I think. And so I was going to click on the rocket ship, and it was like, where is the rocket ship? I couldn't see it because, you know, the bottom fifth of the screen was completely black, and the entire menu system for controlling Resolve, I couldn't see it. It was all underneath this black area. And it was all because of, I assume it was because of overheating. So I've got my Mac here, and it's been sitting untouched all night long. I shut it down completely. I just want to check this morning to see whether the screen has come back fully. You know, I hope it has. Yeah, another thing I've learned, it seems to be that the Mac stays kind of awake throughout the night. Like if you just close the lid, I'm a little bit nervous now about this. So now what I do, you don't need to do this, I'm told, but now I shut down completely. Like I just shut it down because I've had the battery run dead during the night. Like if I unplug it, I wake up in the morning and the battery's dead. So as if it's using power all night long, but I didn't think it would. Like you close the lid, it should shut down, like it should go to sleep, right? And it shouldn't be drawing power, but I wake up in the morning and the battery's dead. So now I shut down completely, and that just seems to be a better thing to do. So let's see what the screen looks good from here. Yeah, it's back to normal. So I guess it was just too hot yesterday. No internet. Yes, I know. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. The owner isn't coming for 4 hours, so no Wi-Fi for 4 hours. So I got to get on that Cellcom business. So let's load up DaVinci Resolve and see if I can see the deliver down at the bottom. Yeah, I hope I can. And DaVinci Resolve is a beast of a program, which I do not need at all. It's so powerful, and it kind of overwhelms me, and it overwhelms the MacBook. It's too much. It takes so long to load, and I can't do anything else except run Resolve. Like if I have anything else open, anything else in operation, plus DaVinci Resolve, it just freezes. It just won't run. My computer has to be completely blank, running only DaVinci Resolve, and then, yeah, then it can do it. So let's open up that project I was working on. There we go. Everything's back to normal. I can go to the rocket ship now, and I can export this video. So that's what I'll be doing next. So yeah, it was just getting pretty toasty in here yesterday, and I ran this thing for, I don't know, 18 hours straight. It just never ever turned off. So yeah, poor thing. I was very hard on my little MacBook yesterday. I had a lot of work to do. And I think that is more or less the end of my stories for this morning. Oh, the Vietnamese YouTuber, he arrived. I talked about him. I've never met this man, but we've been in communication, and he was recently in Sumatra for a month. He shoots traditional market scenes and street scenes and village scenes, things like that. Kind of POV videos. Like I think he shoots everything with a smartphone, and he just shoots everything away from him. It's not a vlog channel. It's more like he's recording daily life, making like a documentary record of daily life in the year 2022. Really interesting videos. I like them a lot. But he came to Malaysia yesterday, landed at 1:15, his flight, and I tried to go meet him at the airport, but he says, no, that you don't need to do that, I'm okay. And yeah, he took a bus in. I got a couple of messages from him. He took the bus into town, and he's staying at a hotel just up the street from me. So at some point, I gave him his space yesterday. I told you how I'd like to involve everyone in my stories, you know. So the second he landed, I wanted to like, hey, let's get together for coffee and let's do this and let's talk about YouTube, you know. But I kind of backed off a little bit, let him settle in, do his thing, and then yeah, I'll send him a message today and yeah, see if we can meet up for coffee or something, whatever it is he wants to do. So it'd be fun having him in town for a few days. Another thing is that Deepavali is coming up, right? I keep intending to look up the date. It might even be on Monday, the beginning. I don't know much about the holiday other than I know it's like one of the biggest holidays on the Hindu calendar. I believe it's the celebration of the triumph of light over darkness, of wisdom over ignorance, you know, the triumph of all the good things over the bad things. That's sort of the point of it. But I've never actually gone out in search of this celebration before. But I happen to be right beside the oldest Hindu temple in Kuala Lumpur, right around the corner, the Sri Maha Mariamman Temple, and I read that it is a big place for Deepavali celebrations. So I might go there if I can figure out when things are happening, to go there and see what's going on and witness some of the celebrations and capture some of it on video. So I might plan to do that. And yeah, I don't know what's going on at the temple. I don't know what's involved in the celebrations, but that's something I'm going to look into today, try and figure out what's going on. So that's kind of what's happening in my life right now. Maybe I'll end this video journal with one little story that's been rolling around on in my mind that I thought was quite amusing. And this goes all the way back to Penang, where I'm just having a heck of a time getting ice. I don't know why. Like, I'm ordering things with ice, and I end up in this discussion with the server. Ice? Yes, ice. And they're like, ice? Yes, ice. And I don't know, there's something going on about the whole concept of ice and even milk, like milk tea, ice milk tea. There's a communication barrier. And I'm sorting through it, but I haven't quite figured it out. And then I'm having this trouble at Vinijaya, where I have a lot of my meals, and I love to have a glass of ice water. And in the past, when I was staying in Kuala Lumpur, that was one of the pleasures of my day, was to go there for lunch, and then I'd get a cup of ice water. And it's just like, oh, it's so good. And it would be refilled a couple of times. I might have 2 or 3 of these big glasses of ice water. And it was never a problem getting it. Ice water, those words seem to work. But since I've been back in Malaysia this time, I just can't get ice water. I don't know what is happening. So I was there the other day. I made a note of the conversation. server, came to my table. He wanted to know, what I wanted to have to drink. And this is a transcript of our conversation. He came up to my table and he kind of said, to drink? And I said hesitantly, ice water? And he said, sky juice? People keep saying sky juice to me. And it's happened many, many times, and I still don't know what sky juice is. So I said to him hesitantly, no, I don't think so. I don't know what sky juice is. Ice water, like cold water, water with ice. And he said to me, ice water. And I said, yes, ice water. And he says, okay, like water, but ice. And I says, yes, that's right, water with ice, ice water. And he said, no sky juice. I was like, no, I don't think so. Like, I don't know I don't think I want sky juice. Like, what is sky juice? Like, ice water. And he says, okay, ice water. And he goes away, and then he came back with a big cup of boiling hot, plain water and put it on the table. And I'm looking at the steam coming off the top. It's like, man, that's what happened to the ice. Where maybe I should have ordered sky juice. Right? But that's the conversation I had, and that's exactly what happened, word for word. And I have no idea what happened. I told this story to a friend of mine here, a Malaysian man in Malaysia, and he said, "Well, just ask for, what did he tell me? Ice kosong, ice kosong." And I thought, okay, is that going to work? And then I explained to him, like, all these guys, I mean, they're actually from Pakistan, so I don't know if they will know what you're telling me, like ice kosong. They're from Pakistan. Will they know what that means? And I joked with him, and I'm actually not joking at all, that I'm probably just going to find a picture of a cup full of ice and water, and I'll take a picture of it, put it on my phone, and the next time I go, I'll just ice water. And then maybe I can learn what they call it. Like, for all I know, ice water is sky juice. Does sky juice mean ice water? I don't know. My friend was telling me that sky juice is water, right? Because it's rain. It's water falling from the sky, right? So it's sky juice. But I thought he was pulling my leg. Like, oh, come on. Like, are you joking? You must be kidding. Like, really? That's what sky juice means? Like, water? But yeah, I still don't know whether he was joking or not. I'd like to think he was joking. But anyway, I'm on a quest to order ice water, and I'll get it done eventually. I'll figure out how this happens, because I really enjoy my ice water. So that's it for this morning. Time not for ice water, but time for a cup of coffee, and time to start my day. Time to export this video now that I can see the rocket ship again, and I can deliver the output from DaVinci Resolve. So that's it. Shutting down the camera, enjoying a cup of coffee, and I'll see you in the next video.